Greetings everyone, this is Rambling Collector here, and welcome back for another comic review. The subject of this video, the John Carter Warlord of Mars series by Edgar Rice Burroughs, done by Marvel Comics. So, funny enough, I received this one as a birthday gift, and quite frankly, when I finally had the chance to dive into this omnibus, I was thoroughly impressed. I don't know, something about the cover art for it really captivated me, especially since it seemed such a unique departure from Marvel Comics, especially for the fact that this was based off of a novel series of the same name, as well as featuring from the 1970s, so immediately I had to go pick this one up, and after reading the entire omnibus, I was thoroughly impressed. So, with that being said, let's get started, shall we? Now, for the few overall thoughts about John Carter, Warlord of Mars. Having never read the novels these comics are based on, this omnibus has left me curious to learn more about the books and series as a whole. And honestly, I did not even know that this was a novel series before picking up these comics. When I heard that they were, I was actually very surprised. But if the comics are anything to go off of, I'm pretty sure the novels are going to be a very fascinating read, and possibly a future review, who knows. But overall, one other thing that I will say is this. This series was a definite breath of fresh air, being a nice departure from the typical Marvel comic formula. And I think you all will have seen that this is a common thing for me, is that I love comics that aren't fully focused on superheroes all the time. I like stories that are a nice little departure from superheroes because to me, superheroes, while they are a main driving market in comic books, that's not all there should be. There's always something unique out there too. You have dark stories, science fiction, all of that, which is why more often than not I go towards manga more often than comics. But series like this, John Carter, Warlord of Mars, or even DC Vertigo's Transmetropolitan or Sandman, all of them are very nice departures from the typical Marvel and DC comic formula, and that is why I enjoy these series the most out of any other comics. But I will say, surprisingly enough, though John Carter himself was an interesting character in his own right, my personal favorite would have to be Tarkos, due to the alien's more straight-laced and warrior-centric mindset in contrast with John, because while John himself was very charismatic and a very fun character at times, Tarkos didn't mess around. He knew what he was on. He was here on business to try to maintain Martian diplomacy and equality, especially since he himself represented one of the main race of Martians. And honestly, I enjoyed his interactions with John Carter, just being the straight man to John Carter's more fun personality, and you have Tarkos over there just being all, John, I need you to focus and figure out what exactly we're going to do here. And also, I will say, John and Deja Thoris' relationship was just incredibly wholesome, seeing the faith that they have in each other, even though a lot of times John Carter will say, Deja, don't go this way, it's dangerous for you. Deja will follow him through hell on earth, just to make sure that he comes back alive, and seeing their interactions on that and then learning to fight side by side was incredibly fun to see. I loved that personally. And for the fact that this takes place in the 1970s with Marvel Comics, I really enjoyed it. But more than just the story, I also really enjoyed the art style, which, speaking of that, the art style here was so very well done, looking like living paintings all throughout, very well detailed, great shadows and colors, and overall everything just making it pop so well with all the bright colors, such as the pink skies, the greens, the character expressions, all of it was so very well done. The artists behind these comics knew what they were doing. They knew how to adapt a novel series and bring it to life on the colored page, and I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. The artwork especially was just so well done, and this is why sometimes I love older comic series in general, because they have that sense of color, which, yes, a lot of times it can be rough, a lot of times you see it all, but it's the effort that is put in there, the sheer amount of different brighter colors, the more greater attention to detail. It makes everything pop out so well. Something that I feel like modern comics, while yes, they are bright and shiny at times, often it feels like almost like they miss the mark. So it's really fun to go back and look at the effort that was put into older comic series. John Carter, for instance, really highlights that very, very well. So if you ever pick up this comic series, or if you are a longtime fan, I'm pretty sure you can appreciate this just as much as I have after reading it. But moving on. So, random thoughts here. Personally, when I picked this up, I didn't know what to expect here. I thought that there was going to be greater ties to the Marvel Universe as a whole, but surprisingly enough, this one here felt like it was its own self-contained story, and I honestly loved that. I liked that this was a nice little departure from the regular Marvel formula, like I've said before, but overall, just the fact that they weren't trying to tie it to the greater universe, keeping it self-contained, was just beautiful in its own right. I really wish there was more of this omnibus that I had read through, and I will tell you all this right now. If you really want the full series experience, and I know some of you out there will prefer to get the singular issues, but if you really want to do more of a full dive, I would personally recommend picking up the hardback omnibuses. Yes, they are very expensive, but overall, it makes collecting a little bit easier for you. At least then you're not having to scrounge for every single issue of a comic. Me speaking of this after collecting all the Question comics. But my point still stands though. If you want to gain more of the series and gain more bang for your buck, would definitely recommend picking up the graphic novels or these hardback omnibuses. Yes, they will be pricey. Yes, they might take up a lot of shelf space, but at the same time, you get more of the experience from that, in my personal opinion. At some point, I might need to do a live stream showcasing my comic omnibuses that I've collected, at least the hardbacks to start with, before moving into the paperbacks. But I'll leave that up to you all to decide. But going back to John Carter here, I want to check out more older series of comics just to kind of see the differences between the comics we had then versus now. I really do want to see that. And eventually I want to do a video showcasing the differences between older and newer comics. But that's just me rambling here. But anyways, like I've said before, I'm genuinely curious to check out more of the novels, and I'm wondering, in your all's opinion, if I should check out either a certain novel itself for John Carter and do a video of that, or if I should read the whole series as a whole and save it for a Reading Reflections episode. I'll leave that up to you all to decide. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and move on to the overall score. Personally, I would rank the omnibus John Carter Warlord of Mars at a solid 9 out of 10. Great artwork, great stories overall. At times it could feel very episodic, but overall that is my only complaint. Besides that, amazing, very well done series, and I genuinely want to read more of them sometime. And if you guys have any comic suggestions for in the future, please feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you did like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe if you're curious for more crazy book podcasts. And to be honest with you guys, it really means a lot to me if you stuck around to the end of this video, and I would love to know your thoughts on me as a booktuber, but overall I want to hear your stories for reading. Overall, thank you all again for listening. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now, and I will see you all in the next video. But if you're curious to see more of my future works before then, please feel free to check out the playlists from either my comic reviews, or if you want to see more of the book reviews, I will leave a link to that playlist as well. Anyways, this is Rambling Collector, signing out. Have a great day, fellow readers.